Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Rome, a historical role-playing game. Experience the glory and decadence of Rome like never before. You will find it in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly partnered with the What the Funk shop. Please check out their store for all sorts of products. They have dice, miniatures, game master screens, home decorations, and many other things. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. And make sure that you use my code for a special discount. Now, tonight, I want to talk about something very important in tabletop role playing games. You should always give priority to the actions of the player characters every single time. What do I mean by this? When you play tabletop role playing games, and you are actually role playing tabletop role playing games, you want to experience something quite different from video games, board games, and other types of games. One of the key differences is that in tabletop role playing games, you have greater control over your character's actions. And how is that? Many that have been taught how to play tabletop RPGs with no roleplay, they let the dice rule everything. They don't see much of a difference between a video game role playing game and a tabletop role playing game. In a video game, especially like, for example, turn based systems, there is a lot of randomness in some cases. You can still choose your actions, but the success of those actions is usually dictated by a random generation result, randomly generated result, rather. In the case of board games, the same thing. You have strict rules. You make your roll, you use your cards, whatever the system for the board game, and you stick to those results. Those are mechanics and tools that support task resolution. And that's perfectly fine if you want to experience that in board games and video games and tabletop RPGs, since they were at first designed by people that were experienced in war games, board games, etc. It is quite understandable that such mechanisms such as dice cards were used and eventually used later on in tabletop RPGs to resolve tasks. But the father of roleplay in tabletop role-playing games, Dave Arneson, he gave priority to the actions of the player characters. It's all about playing that role, being in the world, experiencing the fictional world as the player characters. So it's going to be very frustrating for someone that is in a precarious situation, in battle, even in social conflicts, and the player is describing the character's actions, what the character is saying, the reactions, and yet it has no impact on the situation. It still feels like it's completely based on a game of chance, of randomness, because only the results of the dice are validated. Just like in other types of video games, not even role playing games, perhaps action role playing games. You have your controller, and unless it is programmed into the game, you cannot make it so that your character takes action in particular ways. If you want to do different attacks that the character cannot perform because the character has not been programmed like that, there is no way for you to do so unless you apply various mods, and still, you will need to apply different mods according to the situation that is presented and the actions that you take as response to that situation, or even in proactive roles. That is, when you take action, when you take the initiative to carry out a task and whatnot. But in tabletop role playing games, because you are describing your actions and reactions in simple yet perfect details, This must be given a priority. Otherwise, the player is going to feel cheated. The player is playing a tabletop role playing game so that he actually gets to swing his sword, shoot lightning out of his hands, produce words of power that shatter structures, jump and throw shuriken, ninja stars at the enemies in front, deliver an inspirational speech like no other. Look through the various nooks and crannies, searching for the perfect tool for the situation at hand, be it improvised or specialized, using the objects in the environment to solve various problems. If you make your role as a game master, as a player, to determine the outcome of a task, and it doesn't make sense if the result makes no sense whatsoever, comparing it to the description of the player, comparing it to the actions of the player character, then the actions of the player character should take priority. If the attack was logical, perfect, well timed, delivered to the right spot on the opponent's body, after the opponent fumbled or took an action that left a part of the body exposed, and you make the die roll, and it's a miss? I don't think so. At the very least, the game master should apply some substantial modifiers to the rolls that are being made if it makes sense with the context and the actions that the player is taking through his or her player character. I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Definitely always validate, prioritize the actions of the player characters. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the Super Thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, in tabletop role-playing games, you are not having a conversation about your characters. You are experiencing the game world as your characters. Once again, thank you and see you later.